Alright guys, here's our videos from the 2022 Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. This is the 100th running of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, and my wife and I are both happy to be a part of this, working with Paul Dallenbach Racing. She's been working with them for I think 7 or 8 years now doing their PR. I have been just a helping hand in the background for the past 2 years. So this year's a little different. We didn't run the Dallenbach Special, Paul's personal car. Instead, we rented a Sierra Alpha. It is a 1300cc Hayabusa engine with a turbocharger. It has a SEDEV gearbox along with the bike transmission. It's running gasoline still. This is on VP Race Fuels C16, air-to-air intercooler. It weighs a little over 1,500 pounds with the driver and makes around 400 wheel in the configuration we had it in here. Prior to race week, the team had got the car a little later than expected and immediately had a brake failure at a test day, which cost us the test day. The brake failure was overcome quickly and went to some early mountain testing sessions, which didn't have any success because they had a wiring issue to overcome there as well, which cost us another 2 days in testing. Fast forward a little bit, they put the car on the dyno after wiring was repaired and an oil pump failed, causing an engine failure. So we showed up Sunday, the week before race day, finished the engine install, then made it to a track to do some testing where both the flat shift shifter failed and we had no boost control. It's just been an adventure. So as a result of that, we had to put the car on a chassis dyno, and UPP, Under Pressure Performance, hooked us up, spent the whole day with us. They were very helpful.
Oh, I'm recording it too.
Delete it.
Delete it?
Delete it now.
No, okay.
Delete it.
No.
That's 3 now. Yeah.
After spending the Monday afternoon on the dyno at UPP, next day, Tuesday morning, was testing the middle section. It's so beautiful here. You're kind of in the middle of the mountain. That part of the mountain there looks like it's really close, but it's quite far away. So our plan here was to just make a good clean run off the mountain. We got to set up the car chassis-wise. Unfortunately, it basically fought us all day. The first run on the mountain, it had a slight misfire. We get it back, look at the data, and the wideband was showing it was very lean, like 13-to-1, very lean. So we added a bit of fuel to it to try to clean the misfire up, get the wideband reading back where we wanted it again, send it up the mountain. The misfire got worse, and the wideband still read that it was very lean. So at that point I pulled a plug, and the fuel mixture was actually really rich based on the plug, so we were making changes based on the data getting from the wideband, which was incorrect. Pulled fuel back out of it, sent it up the mountain. The misfire was better but not gone away, so Paul cut it short, pulled back down early. We pulled yet more fuel out of it, and then the flat shift shifter quit working on the third run. So we basically got one clean run, which was our fourth run up the mountain. We unhooked the flat shift shifter, got the fueling in the ballpark, no wideband feedback, no O2 control, just kind of old school looking at a plug last minute. But it worked out. We made one clean run up the mountain. Here's a video of that. All right, so to end our first day of testing, we had a couple fueling missteps, obviously, as I touched on, but to get one good run was leaving on a positive note. That was cool. Paul has enough experience at this. He's such a good driver. He was able to, even with it running poorly, make some critiques on the suspension setup. We've been working on the suspension because it had been really soft since we got it to try to stiffen it up and roll. His biggest complaint today was that the chassis was bottoming out under hard braking. Now, this thing does have bump stops on the front of it. So we took it back to the shop. I set it down on the bumps static, meaning no tire deflection, right? I left the air pressures alone. I probably could have dropped air to try to simulate a dynamic chassis number, but it didn't really matter because on the bumps, static, it was 50 thousandths off the ground. So I shimmed that 7/10 of an inch to get us 7/10 of an inch there with the tire deflection. Figured that was going to be close, but should keep the chassis off the ground. The problem is when the chassis would bottom out, it would just upset the whole car. Basically, the chassis takes the load that should be on the tire, meaning the tire doesn't have as much traction. So it's just it's just unpredictable. So here's a shot of it on the ground on the bumps. Pretty cool. The wing looks really nice all down on the ground like that. But we shimmed that up and then prepped for the next day. The next day was upper section, which is the bumpiest section of the track. So really, that was the time to have the bump set up. So here's a little bit from there. We were hoping we had the engine running stuff sorted out, and we did. It ran fairly well on the upper section. Just worked on chassis stuff a little bit more. Here's a couple of videos of that. It's so gorgeous up here. It's so hard to just... I don't know, we're there to work. We're there to do a job, to make the car fast so we can be competitive on race day. But it's very easy to overlook the fact that we're just in this gorgeous place working on a lot of cool cars. It's just such a neat thing to be a part of. But here's one of our runs from the upper section, our best run from the upper section. All right, so that was our best and final hit in the upper section. We did a 44. I can't remember if it's a 3. I think it's a 3-minute, 44-second. And our competitor, which was Cody Vaschultz, he did a 36. We were pretty happy with that. Biggest complaint was that the car was still bottoming severely over the bumps. Not the front of the chassis at this point, the back of the chassis. We did make a spring change in the middle of this to try to get a little bit more rear grip in the car during roll. So we softened up the rear suspension, and then had a severe bump issue. So I took it back to the shop, set it on the rear bumps. On the rear bumps, static ride height was 0. It was on the ground. So we actually machined a couple hockey pucks to get our ride height back where we wanted, and then that led us into the next day, Thursday morning, which was our qualifying run in the bottom section.